Hello, YouTube. Hello. Hello, Facebook fans. This is my Facebook page as well. I'm concurrently streaming at present. I'm just trying to figure out why my main Facebook isn't working. I am testing something today, just to see if it's going to work. It did work earlier when I tested it, but for some reason it's not working right now. Shame. What a shame. Okay, so it's going to have to be YouTube and the business page that it's going to stream across. However, I can see your comments. Hello, Neil. Welcome. It is working now. The only problem I can't see a live video on my Facebook account. I can see it on the Facebook page, which is fine. That's working perfectly at 1080. But I can see it on YouTube. That's working absolutely fine. But I cannot see it, even though it states starting. I cannot see it streaming on the other Facebook, which is a bit of a shame because all three of them were working earlier on, and I'm not quite sure what's occurring. Let me have a look. This is all new to me. Bear with me a second. I'm going to try something. So just bear with me 1 second. That didn't work either. That didn't work. I thought by disconnecting and reconnecting again it would... Is it laggy? Is it, Neil? Right, okay. That's a shame. What about YouTube? Is that doing all right? Right. Hello, Dan on Facebook. Hello, Neil on YouTube. This is different. At least the two platforms are working, but not massively in sync. It does give me the ability to test a few things. However, you have been waiting long enough. Yesterday, I did go live. I was incredibly tired, and I wasn't going to go live, and ended up going live, and didn't realise, but there was absolutely no sound throughout the entire of the video that I read. Bit of a shame, because it was a good story. So, I will be rereading story number 9 again today, because obviously it's pointless you having, unless you know how to lip read, it's the mime edition, definitely, Neil. Unless you know how to lip read, it was a bit pointless having that video on YouTube. Whereas obviously these ones will be on, oh, 1 sec, YouTube seems to have frozen a little bit. Why is that? Oh dear. I seem to have frozen everywhere. Whoa. One moment whilst I try and check up on what is going on. Yes, Sam, it's not on the Facebook account for some reason, but it is on the fan page. I do apologise to all that are watching and are experiencing issues. Oh, right. Okay, so I'm still streaming with no pauses. Well, that's really bizarre because on my side, nearly all of them are paused, which the only one that's not is the one that I'm actually seeing streaming out from here, which is really quite strange, but interesting. Okay, fair enough. Right, okay, so because yesterday there was absolutely no sound and I was a bit gutted because I was quite proactive in terms of moving my hands about the place and getting so excited, and it was actually a really good story, compared to the previous day. I'm going to reread that one again. So yes, this is the very first story that I will be reading that I technically have read before. However, because of the way that it is written, I will still most likely have some issues on the second time round. But as long as you can all hear it fine, that's absolutely fine. I'm more than happy with that. Please do like, share, subscribe, and make sure for those on YouTube, you click the bell icon to let yourself get notified that I'm live and that I've posted a new video, because I will start doing this a little bit more. And the story we read yesterday was called The 12 Brothers. And here we go. There were once upon a time a king and queen who lived happily together and had 12 children. But they were all boys. Then the king said to his wife, "If the 13th child which you are about to bring into the world is a girl, and the kingdom may fall to her," and that the king... Apologies, I did state. The 12 boys shall die, in order that her possessions may be great, and the kingdom may fall to her alone. He caused likewise 12 coffins to be made, which were already filled with shavings, and in each lay a pillow for the dead, and he had them taken into a locked-up room. And then he gave the queen the key of it, and bade her not to speak to anyone about it. The mother, however, now sat and lamented all day long, until the youngest son, who was always with her, and whom she had named Benjamin from the Bible, said to her, "Dear mother, why are you so sad?" "Dearest child," she answered, "I may not tell you." But he let her have no rest until she went into the unlocked room. Until she went into the unlocked room and showed him the 12 coffins ready filled with shavings. Then she said, "My dearest Benjamin, your father has these coffins made for you and for your 11 brothers. For if I bring a little girl into the world, you are all to be killed and buried in them." And as she wept while she was saying this, the son comforted her and said, "Weep not, dear mother, for we will save ourselves and go away." But she said, "Go forth into the forest with your 11 brothers, and let one sit constantly on the highest tree which can be found, and keep watch looking towards the tower here at the castle. If I give birth to a little son, I will put up a white flag, and then you may venture to come back. But if I bear a daughter, I will hoist a red flag, and then fly away as quickly as you are able, and may the good God protect you. And every night I will rise up and pray for you, in winter that you may be able to warm yourself at your fire, and in summer that you may not faint away in the heat." After she had blessed her sons, they went forth into the forest. They each kept watch in turn, and sat on the highest oak and looked towards the tower. When 11 days had passed and the turn came to Benjamin, he saw that a flag was being risen. It was, however, not the white flag, but the blood-red flag. One sec. I can hear a helicopter. Where are we? But a blood-red flag, which announced that they were all to die. When the brothers heard that, they were angry and said, Are we all to suffer the death for the sake of a girl? We swear that we will avenge ourselves. Wherever we find a girl, her red blood shall flow." Thereupon they went deeper into the forest, and in the midst of it, where it was the darkest, they found the little bewitched hut, which was standing empty. They said, "Here we will dwell, and you, Benjamin, who are the youngest and weakest, you shall stay at home and keep house while we all go out and get food." Then they went into the forest and shot hares, wild deer, birds and pigeons and whatever there was to eat. This they took to Benjamin, who had to dress it for them in order that they might appease their hunger. They lived together 10 years in the little hut, and the time did not appear long to them. The little daughter which their mother, the queen, had given birth to, was now grown up. She was good of heart and fair of face, and had a golden star on her forehead. Once, when a big washing had been done, she saw 12 men's shirts amongst the things, and asked her mother, "To whom do these 12 shirts belong? For they are far too small for father." Then the queen answered with a heavy heart, "Dear child, these belong to your 12 brothers." Said the maiden, "Where are my 12 brothers? I have never yet heard of them." She replied, "God knows where they are. They are wandering about the world." Then she took the maiden and opened the chamber for her, and showed her the 12 coffins with the shavings and the pillows for the head. "These coffins," she said, "were destined for your brothers, but they went away secretly before you were born." And she related to how everything had happened, then said to the maiden, "Dear mother, weep not. I will go to seek my brothers." So she took the 12 shirts and went forth, and straight into the great forest. She walked the whole day, and in the evening she came to the bewitched hut. Then she entered it and found a young boy, who asked, "Where do you come from? Where are you bound?" And was astonished that she was so beautiful, and wore royal garments, and had a star on her forehead. No idea what the star's about. And she answered, "I am the king's daughter, and I am seeking my 12 brothers, and I will walk as far as the sky is blue until I find them." She likewise showed him the 12 shirts which belonged to them. Then Benjamin saw that she was his sister, and said, "I am Benjamin, your youngest brother." And she began to weep for joy, and Benjamin wept also, and they kissed and embraced each other with the greatest of love. But after that he said, "Dear sister, there is still one difficulty. We have agreed that every maiden whom we meet shall die, because we have been obliged to leave our kingdom on account of a girl." Then she said, "I will willingly die, if so by doing so I can save my 12 brothers." "No," he answered, "you shall not die. Seat yourself beneath this tub until our 11 brothers come, and then I will come to an agreement with them." She did so, and when it was night, the others came from hunting, and their dinner was ready. And as they were sitting at the table and eating, they asked, "What news is there?" Said Benjamin, "Don't you know anything?" "No," they answered. He continued, "You have been in the forest, and I have stayed at home, and yet I know more than you do." "Tell us then," they cried. He answered, But promise me that the first maiden who meets us shall not be killed." "Yes," they all cried, "she shall have mercy. Only do tell us." Then said he, "Our sister is here." And he lifted up the tub, and the king's daughter came forth in her royal garments with the golden star on her forehead, and she was beautiful, delicate, and fair. Then they were all rejoiced, and hugged, and kissed, and loved her with all their hearts. Now she stayed at home with Benjamin, and helped him with the work. The 11 went into the forest and caught game, and deer, and birds, and wood pigeons, that they might have food, and the little sister and Benjamin took care to make it ready for them. She sought for the wood for cooking, and herbs for vegetables, and put the pans on the fire so that the dinner was always ready when the 11 came. She likewise kept order in the little house, and put beautifully white clean coverings on the little beds, and the brothers were always contented and lived in great harmony with her. Once on a time the two were at home. Once on a time the two at home had prepared a beautiful meal, and when they were all together they sat down and ate, drank, and were full of gladness. There was, however, a little garden belonging to the bewitched house, where there were 12 lily flowers, which are likewise called students. She wished to give her brothers pleasure, and plucked the 12 flowers, and thought she would present each brother with one while at dinner. But at the same moment that she plucked the flowers, the 12 brothers were changed into 12 ravens, and flew away over the forest, and the house and the garden vanished likewise. And now the poor maiden was all alone in the wild forest, and when she looked around, an old woman was standing near by, who said, "My child, what have you done? Why did you not leave the 12 white flowers growing? They were your brothers, who are now forevermore changed into ravens." The maiden said, weeping, "Is there no way of saving them?" "No," said the woman. "There is but one in the whole world, and that it is so hard you will not succeed at it. For you must be dumb for 7 years, and may not speak or laugh. And if you speak one single word, and only an hour of the 7 years is wanting, all is in vain, as your brothers will be killed by one word." Then said the maiden in her heart, "I know with certainty that I shall set my brothers free," and went on and sought a high tree, and she sat spinning, and neither spoke nor laughed. Now it so happened that a king was hunting in the forest, who had a great greyhound, which ran to the tree on which the maiden was sitting, and sprang about it, whining and barking at her. Then the king came by and saw the beautiful king's daughter with the golden star on her brow, and was so charmed by her beauty that he called to ask her if she would be his wife. This part really confuses me. Is it the original king? Is it a new king? How did he know he was the original king's daughter? Let's find out later. She made no answer, but nodded a little with her head. She climbed the tree. So he climbed up the tree himself, carried her down, placed her on a horse, and took her home. Then the wedding was solemnized with great magnificence and rejoicing, but the bride never spoke nor smiled. When they lived happily together for a few years, the king's mother, who was a wicked woman, began to slander the young queen, and said to the king, "This is a common beggar girl from whom you brought back with you. Who knows what impious tricks she practices secretly? Even if she is dumb and not able to speak, she might still laugh for once. But those who do not laugh have a bad conscience." At first the king would not believe it, but the old woman urged this so long, and accused her of so many evil things, that at last the king let himself be persuaded and sentenced her to death. And now a great fire was lighted in the courtyard in which she was to be burnt, and the king stood above the window and looked on with a tearful eye, because he still loved her so much. And when she was bound fast to the stake, and the fire was licking at her clothes with its red tongue, the last instant of the 7 years expired. Then a whirring sound was heard in the air, and 12 ravens came flying towards the place, and sank downwards where they touched the earth. They were her 12 brothers, whom she had saved. They tore the fire asunder, extinguished the flames, set their dear sister free, and kissed and embraced her. And now she dared to open her mouth and speak. She told the king why she had been dumb and had never laughed. The king rejoiced when he heard that she was innocent, and they all lived in great unity until their death. The wicked stepmother was taken before a judge and put into a barrel filled with boiling oil, venomous snakes, and died an evil death. Well then. So, a couple of things with that. It reminded me of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Loads of guys living with one girl in the middle of a forest, really pretty. But at the same time, it's not. But I do think maybe Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is based from this. But then there's also this whole spinning thing in a tree, in the highest part. Could that potentially be a sort of Rumpelstiltskin style-y type thing with a spinning wheel spinning? I don't know. It is one way to remove the mother-in-law, Neil. It definitely is. But another thing, obviously, apart from the king wanting to marry this king's daughter, that's a bit confusing. Is it incest? Does he know that it's his daughter and he wants to marry her? And how could he have forgotten it was his daughter? Is it a different king wanting to marry the king's daughter, but if she's been away for 10 years, then how does he know it's a king's daughter? Bit confusing. And then, at the end, how and why was the king... Why did the king submit her immediately to death, yet sent his mother-in-law before a judge before death? Shouldn't it have been fair trial for both? Bit confusing. Yeah, the star thing is an interesting one there, Neil. It is an interesting one. Right, okay, so that was yesterday's story, which obviously you didn't get to hear, but you just did now. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and it's made you think about quite a few things. It was an interesting story. However, one thing I have noticed with these stories is they seem to jump from thing to thing to thing, and then it's like it over-explains descriptions. Like, it repeated twice the exact same things that the brothers were going to hunt. Hares and deers and blah, 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 blah. So, I don't know. I mean, this is original sort of text, so maybe the sort of storytelling wasn't quite right back then, but either way, it was still a good story. Again, full of death, which is nice. That's what we like to hear from this book. That is the end of that story for today. The next one tomorrow is The Pack of Ragamuffins. Not a clue what that's about, but these seem to be getting more sordid, so only one will tell. If you do want to get yourself a copy, that is the book there. Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales. It is a beautiful looking book. It's very gothic in its appearance, and I really do like it. I hope you are enjoying these stories and these lives, and do share, subscribe, like, comment, and do set notifications to active. And I shall see you all tomorrow, when hopefully all of my streams are all working. But this was a very first test on both Facebook and YouTube, and I think it went all right. I think. Take care, have fun, and most importantly, be safe. Bye-bye for now.